So yeah, welcome to my presentation, Getting Creative with Asterisk. This is entirely built on Asterisk 11.5. Some of the code was salvaged from older installations, so if it looks kind of messy, that's why. So just to get started, we'll say, I want to introduce you to me. I am Warren Selby. I am the owner of SelbyTech LLC, or maybe I should say I am SelbyTech LLC. I am the man. So I have 17 years professional experience with IT. 8 years working with VoIP. My first job in VoIP was in 2005 for a Cisco call manager reseller, I guess you could say. We provided voice over IP over VSAT to oil rigs and land rigs and that kind of stuff. Specifically with Asterisk, I've been working for 5 years. I am DCAP number 1913. I got that at the Washington, D.C. Astricon. I believe that was in 2010 or 2009. So, just to jump right in, these are the topics we're going to cover today. I've got four different topics, and the format is going to be, I'm going to give you a description of what the topic is, and then we're going to go straight into code. For some of them, for one of them, we're going to have a live demonstration. So first off, we're going to have day-night mode with presence. It's going to be pretty much just what it sounds like, a day-night button on your phone system or on like your receptionist phone. We're going to have on-demand greetings. I get asked for that a lot more than a lot of people seem to think you would. XMPP Jabber integration, that is my favorite part of this presentation. It's something that I've specifically written to control my phone system that I use for my business and my house. And then dynamic wake-up calls. So let's get started. So the day-night mode is a big complaint I get from people that I'm replacing their old existing key system is they want a button where they can put the phone into night mode or into, nobody's at the desk mode. Sure, go to if time works great for, controlling your regular business hours, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., have it ring straight into the regular system. Outside of that, ring to a voicemail saying, I'm sorry, nobody's here. But what if your receptionist comes in late? What if she stays late? What if she goes home early? What if she takes a longer lunch? Or whoever, it doesn't have to be your receptionist. What we've got here will alleviate that issue by making it a dynamic button that you can press to control when you go into day or night mode. I will say it requires 1.6 or newer. I'm not sure which version I think it was 1.6.0, introduced the device state function. It'll require a phone with presence if you want to have the flashing button that you can press to enable or disable it. I've confirmed it works with both Polycom and Astra phones. I'm sure it works with any other phone that has presence capabilities, but I haven't tested it, so I can't give you a for sure, yes, this is going to work. All right, so jumping into the code. This is what I do is I define a special extension that most people aren't going to just accidentally dial, right? So in this case, it's star 280. You go through, it relies on AskDB. You tell it whether or not it's enabled. You set the custom device state for custom lamp to busy when you enable it. You play back just a brief message saying enabled. You can put whatever you want there, but it's great feedback so that the person, when they hit the button, they get a message saying, okay, it's enabled. You can hit the same button to disable it. You have the go to if check here to tell you whether or not to go to disable or enable. So, and again, you change the custom lamp state to not in use, and it'll take off the little, the blinky, the presence. So, and you get the playback for disabled. And then you have hints. You have a hint for star 280, custom lamp. And then on your phone, what you do is you create a speed dial that is also a presence subscription to extension star 280. And what happens is, and then you can label it, night mode or holiday mode or whatever you want to call it. What happens is when the receptionist presses that button on their phone, that soft key on the phone, it'll run through this code and then the device state will change to busy, and since you're subscribed to the device state for it, it's going to start flashing because it's going to say it's in use, or it's going to say it's busy. Oops, sorry. Say it's busy. It's pretty simple, really, when you look at it. Okay, this is main menu code to do the check of whether or not you're enabled. It's just, again, it's a simple set night mode variable based off of the DB, the AskDB key code. If it is enabled, your key is going to come back. Your variable should be set to 1. So you would jump to the night mode context, and then I'm a big fan of using verbose to describe what you're doing in your dial plan. Yeah, so you would jump straight to your voicemail, and then you'd hang up. And if it is not enabled, in other words, if this comes back with anything other than 1, you just proceed normally through your regular dial plan for your main menu. So I've deployed this in at least 2 clients that I can think of off the top of my head that have both loved it. It's a great little function. It makes them happy, gets rid of those complaints from the receptionist that Asterisk doesn't work as well as whatever. So, all right. So jumping forward, on-demand greeting. These are great for call centers, which say you have a support line and you know that your Exchange server's down. I mean, that's probably 90% of the time anyways for most Exchange servers, but if your support desk knows the Exchange server's down and they want to stem some of the calls that they're getting, because if your Exchange server's down, you're going to get a lot of people calling. You're also going to get people trying to email the help desk saying, hey, email's not working, but that's beside the point. You want them to know that you're aware of the situation, and so you can say, okay, we're aware the Exchange server's down. We will get it online as soon as possible. Thank you. Goodbye. But you don't want that on there 24/7, and you don't want to have to go in and write special code every time you have a situation like that. Same if you have an emergency situation. I had a client, the same client that set up these call centers. They had a few instances where the facilities in their building decided to test the failover to generator, but the test failed. And so power went out in the building. They can't answer their phones. They can't do pretty much anything. And so we set up the we dialed into the extension and told it to change the greeting where they could say, we're sorry, we're not available today, but please call us back tomorrow. Same with holiday greetings. If you don't want to maintain a database that says these are all of our holidays. All right, the on-demand greeting, the way I use it, utilizes AsteriskDB, and the function, the DB function. All right, so this is the context I pulled straight out of my client's, sanitized out of their dial plan. So you're gonna check, we have a special inbound handler context that all calls coming in process through here. You have, the first thing you do is you set a variable to the DB status of whether or not it's gonna be 1 or 0. It's a Boolean. And so then you go to if, based on whether or not, whatever your setting is here. If you need to have the greeting, you're gonna go to the greeting, and you say main menu greeting, blah, blah, blah. You guys can see this. This is how you activate them. Oh yeah, and like I said, I like comments. So if you want to set the special greeting, you dial 7500. If you want to disable the special greeting, you dial 7600. So 7500 just says, okay, this caller is going to wants to set the special greeting. I set authentication. That way nobody randomly dials 7500 and then is setting your greeting to, ha 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 ha, I've got your greeting. So once they pass the authentication check, we go to the special context, same thing for disabling it. Special greeting, enable context. A lot of these are prompts that I recorded. These are not like default prompts within Asterisk. You just background, play your prompt explaining what they need to do, wait a second, and then you prompt the record button. It's going to beep at them, and then they'll say their message. They hit the pound key. It'll play their message back for them, If they're happy with that, they're now greeted with press 1 to accept, 2 to change. If they press 1, it does a system call. Normally I would do this, well, I guess when I wrote this is when I wrote it with a system call. So yeah, you just move it in and you overwrite whatever the existing greeting is. And then you play back to your caller that your message has been saved, and you set the status in your database to enabled, and then you log in your verbose that you activated it. If you want to change it, the caller presses 2, and it just jumps back up to the top of the context. And if they press anything other than 1 or 2, it's going to jump back up and get them to do it again. Disable is pretty easy. You just log that you're disabling it. You change the DB greeting status to 0. You play back that you've disabled it, and then you end the call. It's pretty simple stuff, but it's not something that you see posted out there a lot on the internet, so that's why I included it. All right, this is the topic I'm most excited about. Is Jabber control of your Asterisk system. You can control your Asterisk through your XMPP client. Now, I prefer to use Gtalk because I've been using Gtalk for years. You can use pretty much any XMPP client that follows the standards. It requires res.xmpp.so, which in itself, to be able to compile that in, you have to have XML and OpenSSL. There's plenty of guides out there on how to install those. I didn't include that. Just Google for it. These settings right here are enabled in Asterisk 11.5. It may be in some of the other ones, but xmpp.conf, if you send to dial plan yes, it'll let you send the messages into the dial plan. If you don't have this enabled, or if you have it set to no, when you send a message to your Asterisk XMPP buddy, nothing's going to happen. So, and then you got to have your context set so that it knows where to send the calls. So before I show you all the code, let me just show you what it does. I've got my soft phone, and I've got my Google Talk buddy. All right, so I'm going to say help, and it's going to respond back to me with a help message straight from the Asterisk server telling me how to do it. Say to place a call, type call space XXXX, where XXXX is the number to dial. And then do not disturb mode, D&D space XXX, where that's the extension. So we're going to place a call. This is my cell phone. You guys can write it down if you really, really want to call me. So what it does is it sends a call, it originates a call into my soft phone, and once I answer, it's going to call my cell phone, assuming I'm still getting a signal in here. There we go. And so you can answer that, it's going to connect it, Asterisk is going to be happy, and that's good to go. Same with Do Not Disturb. I normally use all this on my desk phone, so I think my Do Not Disturb is still set to my desktop extension. It's going to reply back that it's enabled the Do Not Disturb. Now, if I want to disable that, I can type it in again, and bam, it's disabled my Do Not Disturb. There's really no limit to what you can control with Asterisk. If it's something that you can tell Asterisk to do, you can tell it to do it through XMPP. You can log your agents into your queues. You can forward calls. You can, I've seen some dial plans where people have created SIP peers. I've never gotten that far into it. What I really like about this is if some random person starts sending buddy messages to my server, it's not going to respond to them. It'll respond directly to my XMPP client, to my Gtalk account, because that's the way it's defined in the thing. Oh, great. Gotta love PowerPoint, right? So getting into the code, getting into the code, first thing we have is xmpp.conf. So it works with Google Apps accounts. I've only ever actually used it with my Google Apps account. I've tested it on some of the other open source XMPP accounts. But just the fact that it works with Google Apps, I think is pretty awesome. These are all the default settings. You can give it a status message to say, okay, that's what it broadcasts. You send a dial plan yes, and you send the context to start the calls in. This is my XMPP inbound message handling. So again, I like to log that we've got an inbound message coming in. We set a variable. You receive the message using function jabber underscore receive. You have to, asterisk is the XMPP buddy you've defined in xmpp.conf. Astricon at SelbyTech.com, that's the buddy you're going to send the response to. And 5 is the timeout that you're going to wait for them to send you a response before you go ahead and disconnect the call. So I like to log what the message was received, and then I'll break the message up into command and data. I just use the cut and separate it based on the space. So the first part of the message before the space is going to be your command. Anything after that is going to be your data. And then, like I said, you can do whatever you want. I use for this demonstration, I just use 2 simple go-to ifs for if the command is call, go to the place call extension. If the command was DND, go to the do not disturb extension. And then if it's not any of these things, you fall through to the help message. And so, again, I'm using JabberSend to send a message to me. It says, welcome to the Asterisk server, how can I help you today? And then to keep each message on a new line, you make separate JabberSend calls. So the place call, you just originate. Well, that's how I handle it. You can handle it by sending the call into whatever your typical outbound call handling extension would be, using local channels or however you want to do it. But just for simplicity's sake, I made an originate that dials to my desk phone. We're going to originate to an extension, so the extension was outgoing dial, and then I use a filter to make sure I'm only dialing out phone number digits. For do not disturb, you just make a database call. Well, first you check to make sure you've actually got all the data you need. I probably could have done that up here too, but time. You set the D&D inside your database, and then when you make your, I didn't include it, but when you make your dial plan logic that goes to your actual phone, you make sure you do a logic check to make sure, is it in D&D, is it in forward, or is it in whatever. A lot of the, however you do your macro will handle that. Yeah. So the one thing I don't like about the Jabber control is res XMPP is not passing, or if it is, I'm not seeing it passing the caller ID, so to speak, of the buddy that is sending you the message. If that's in there, I don't know how to get it. Also, you cannot do any set var variables inside your xmpp.conf like you can with other channels. And I understand this isn't a channel, this is a resource driver. So these are just, if I had some wishes, those are what I would wish for in res XMPP. All right. I think I'm running through this super fast, but dynamic wake-up calls. So I had one more step. I'd had one more option because I wanted to really do it as everybody said, an homage to Leif's 5 things you didn't know Asterisk could do. I had 5 things planned, but I couldn't get all 5 of them to work. So I had calendar integration in there a couple steps back, but when I tried to do all my testing for it, I just couldn't get it to work, and I had a bug, and I was working on it last night at midnight and after the party, and that just wasn't working too well for me. So it got cut this morning, about 2 hours ago. So again, you could use calendar integration for your wake-up calls, which would have made a lot more sense if I still had that in my thing. But what if you forget to update your calendar, okay? It's much easier to process with a simple AGI. I have done all this with a simple AGI. However, we're talking about what Asterisk can do for you, not what Python can do for you or Perl or PHP. So it's going to look a little messy, but it works. This relies on a generation of a call file and the Linux AT command, which is just @scheduler. The way I've got it written, it's restricted to times within the next 24 hours. You could do it however you want, but to me, it's the case of, oops, I forgot I need a wake-up call tomorrow. Here, let me call into it. And just the simple process is you call in from your cell phone or from whatever phone you want to get your wake up call on to your wake up extension, it's going to prompt you to say, what time do you want to wake up? Enter a 4-digit time. You type in your time in 24-hour format, and it will call you back on the number you called in at the next time that comes up. That time comes up in the next 24 hours. So just to show you how that works. Okay, so I've got a special context wake up. We're logging it again. Say, thank you for calling. What time do you want to wake up? You do the read command, and it sets the variable time to call. That shouldn't be enabled. It should actually be, please enter the time in 4-digit format. Anyways, you limit to 4 digits. You give it 2 chances, and you wait 10 seconds between chances. That way, if somebody doesn't type in all 4 digits, it'll prompt them, hey, you need 4 digits for this. So then we split the variable that we just set into the first 2 digits are the hour and the second 2 digits are the minute. And then, again, I like logging, so we say wake up call requested time is. And then, like I said, this is a lot easier to do with an AGI, or a lot prettier to do with an AGI, but you can do it as a system call. You echo out all the data you need into a temporary call file in temp. I just name it the same as the extension that it's calling from, .call. See, I have SIP caller ID num. That's basically pulling the number that would pull my cell phone at my SIP trunk. That way, the call is going to go back out over my SIP trunk to that phone number. Tell it, okay, max retry is 2, retry time 60 seconds, wait 20 seconds between retries. Go into context wake up and extension out call, which is down here, priority 1. So we're going to go to out call priority 1. So we then echo all of that data. We echo this line. It should actually be MV because you don't want to copy call files. You want to move them. But this was just for testing purposes. You just echo this line into a temporary file that, because at doesn't take, or if it does, I didn't see it, doesn't take an actual command string like that as input, but it will take a file name that contains that string as input. And then you just call AT at the time that you want it to call you back. And what it's going to do is it's going to come up, it's going to examine whatever your hour is and whatever your minute is, and it'll find the next time within 24 hours to do that. So at is really extensible or flexible. You can tell it call me in 3 days at 6 a.m. and it'll know how to process that. But for sake of simplicity, I'm just going to say, okay, in the next 24 hours, whenever the next time this time hits, give me a call. And -M, capital M means don't send me an email. -F means process the command that's in this file. And then hang up. And so what happens is at will then schedule that call or schedule that command to run. When that command runs, it places the call file that we generated up here into var spool asterisk outgoing, which if you guys don't know about call files, asterisk is constantly monitoring that file or that folder. When a new file, a .call file appears in that folder, it processes it through dial plan logic that you've got written in there. So in this case, it creates a call out to my phone, and when my cell phone answers, it's going to hit this logic, which is going to log, okay, we're calling so-and-so for the dynamic wake-up call. And it's going to play back TT monkeys. I don't know if you guys have ever heard TT monkeys, but if you get that at like 6 in the morning, it's going to wake you up. So yeah, that's my presentation. If you guys want a copy of it, you can pull it off my website, selbytech.com/astricon. You can hit this QR code for some fun. Anybody have any questions about anything I went over? Or anybody implemented anything like this that, yeah? I'm sorry. Can you say it again?
So I was saying that one other thing that the way I did it, I didn't think about this way, which is very cool. The way I did it was to change the creation timestamp of the file using the touch command.
Yeah, touch-t.
So then you can change that to the future.
Yeah.
And then you can move that immediately to the outgoing folder.
Yeah.
So then when the time comes, Asterisk will make that call.
I didn't realize that Asterisk did that until last night after I was showing somebody what I'd already written, and they said, why didn't you just touch-t the future date? I was like,
Okay.
what does that do? And they said, oh, it'll wait till that timestamp.
Exactly.
I said, okay, well, that might have been easier to write, but I already had this, and I didn't want to try to debug it after I was working on the other problem I had.
Very good.
So, anybody have any other questions, comments, concerns? You want to tell me I did a horrible job? Whatever. So, all right, guys. Again, if you want to get a copy of this presentation and all the dial plan code, this is PDF'd and it's available at SelbyTech.com/astricon. This is all my contact info if you want to get a hold of me. You can find my website at SelbyTech.com. It probably hasn't been updated in a year. Facebook, SelbyTech, Twitter. I have maintained the presences, but I don't do a lot with them. And then LinkedIn, that's my personal LinkedIn. It's WC Selby. And then the QR code has it has like phone numbers and stuff like that in it too. So.
Thank you very much, Warren.